Today we're talking about the EURUSD ahead of Wednesday's CPI numbers. I'll share my thoughts on what we could get from this market, the key levels I'm watching, and also help explain why we're seeing the US dollar trend lower today following a hotter than forecast PPI number today. Now, before we get started, if you guys do want my help with your trading, click on the link at the top of this video and you're going to get 90% off lifetime access. That includes full access to the course I just put out and also the Discord community, so real-time discussions on the forex market, crypto, commodities, and the stock market. Now, you're also going to get daily videos, exclusive setups from me, and also seeing my trades in real time. That includes entry, take profit, and stop loss. So if you're here on YouTube, click on that link in the description of this video. If you're on the website, click on the Join VIP link. So looking at the EURUSD, we have the market on the rise today here following US PPI. Now, a lot of people are a little bit confused on why we're seeing the US dollar trend lower following a hotter than forecast PPI number. So before we get into anything else, I do want to explain that just to kind of clarify things. So taking a look here at the Forex Factory calendar, you can see where we did get US PPI coming in today, producer price index. So right over here, we have core PPI month over month, PPI month over month. You can see that came in a few hours ago, and it did come in quite a bit hotter than forecast. So the forecast numbers were 0.2 and 0.3% respectively, and you can see we got 0.5% for both of those. So that was a very hot reading. And so right off the bat, a lot of people were probably thinking buy the US dollar because this is bullish for the USD. However, not so fast, because you can see over here, this previous number was revised lower. So this little arrow next to these numbers on the Forex Factory calendar indicates that this was revised lower. And if you go over here and hover over this, it will tell you that this was revised from 0.2% down to negative 0.1%. So these right here, okay, both of these numbers are helping to offset these prints that we saw today. So this is why when we look at something like the US dollar index, the DXY, we are seeing the market actually move lower today following a brief move up. Okay, so again, I think a lot of traders got offside on this just because they were looking at today's print and not paying attention to these two revisions lower from last month. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go and take a look here at the EURUSD technicals, and then I'll share my thoughts on what we could get from Wednesday's CPI numbers. So the EURUSD is moving above 1.08. We've talked about this level before, but this is a key pivot for the EURUSD. You can see going back here, support, resistance, back to support through here, and the same thing through this area. Okay, so with the euro breaking above this now, this area down here becomes a must hold for bulls. If we were to see the market fail here, okay, if CPI, let's say, comes in hot tomorrow and there are no revisions, then that right there could be a bearish setup. But if we see the market come down here, test this level, develop some bullish price action from here, then we could be looking at that move up toward 1.0865, which would be the next pivot here for the euro. So right now we do have the market moving into this new range. So as of right now, this is a bullish market, at least in the short term. We also have higher highs and higher lows ever since coming off that long-term trend line that we've talked about. So going out here to the weekly chart, let's talk about these two levels here, because this really helps to outline where the EURUSD has been ever since 2023. And it also helps to explain why we have seen this market just kind of go sideways here over the past year and a half. Because right here, you can see that clearly the market is getting squeezed by these two levels. And so this is why we've seen just very sideways action from the EURUSD over the past couple of years. Okay, so this is important to understand because when you look at the daily chart, we know that this up here is essentially range resistance. Okay, so range resistance up here, and we've got range support down here. So this is why I've said recently that you do have to ask yourself, what type of trader are you? And if you're a trend trader, right, then you're looking for buying opportunities during this move coming off of this support level down here. But if you're a swing trader with the EURUSD trading right in the middle of these two extremes here, this is really a case where you probably just want to stand aside and wait for something better to develop. Furthermore, the risk reward here isn't great if you're trading something like the daily chart and you are a swing trader, just because trading a market that is in the middle of a range like this, right, without it being at the extremes, isn't ideal if you are a swing trader. So you can also see here on the 4-hour time frame, if we drop down to the 4-hour, you can also see where this trend line was broken. So we've talked about this one as well, off of these recent highs. So this trend line right here was broken before PPI today. So traders were actually front running today's PPI print. You can see here, this breakout occurred before PPI. This retest was right around that release. And again, this is where traders got a little bit sidetracked with that initial print because they saw those prints come in at 0.5% for today's PPI, thinking that that would be bullish for the US dollar. But again, you have to pay attention to these revisions from last month. Okay, so we are seeing the market, hold above this trend line down here and also now above 1.08. So a daily close up here in this area does flip this region to support, and we have resistance coming in up there around 1.0865. Now, looking at the DXY, let's talk about that next, and then I'll get into what I think we could see from tomorrow's CPI. So with the DXY, we do have the market coming off of the top of this channel. So we've talked about this at length. You can see since the start of this year, we do have this ascending channel. So we can essentially call this a 2024 channel because this really has outlined the price action for the DXY. And as you guys know, I have been relatively bullish on the dollar this year, and that has worked out relatively well because we have seen higher highs and higher lows. So as of right now, we have the DXY holding above 105. So this is going to be key support, right? We saw it bounce from this area back here. We saw a long lower wick. So we could get the DXY dropping down here into this lower wick to fill that imbalance during tomorrow's CPI. Now, even if the DXY does close below this, you've got to be careful because the market is still carving higher highs and higher lows. And even if we get a drop down here toward this area, this is still going to be key support for the dollar. So this right here, if we were to get this down here from the DXY, that could line up with the EURUSD testing the trend line up here on the weekly chart from the high from back here in 2021. Okay, so the EURUSD coming up here toward, let's say 1.088 could line up pretty close with the DXY coming down here to test the 104 to 104.5 area. Now, alternatively, like I've said recently for the DXY, the bullish scenario for this market would of course be a hotter than forecast CPI print tomorrow with no revision lower for the previous month and also a bounce from this 105 area. So if we see bullish price action develop from here and the DXY can close above this area up here at 105.6, this is what I've mentioned recently as the one that the DXY has to get above on a daily closing basis. If that were to happen, then that would be bullish toward levels like 106.5 and also 107. Okay, so for the DXY, we have the bullish scenario above 105.6 and the bearish, at least short-term bearish, with a close below the 105 area. But again, you've got to be careful with that because we do have 104.5 and also the bottom of that channel down there closer to 104. Okay, so personally, what I think for tomorrow's CPI numbers, because keep in mind that we do have CPI coming up here within the next 24 hours on Wednesday. Okay, so CPI tends to be a little bit of a heavy hitter, at least relatively speaking, compared to PPI. So this right here is going to be the one to watch, those CPI numbers tomorrow here in the US. So if these numbers come in hotter than forecast, and again, if there's no revision lower from last month, at least nothing meaningful, and these numbers come in hotter, then that is going to be bullish for the dollar. Now, if they come in lower, okay, and again, you've got to watch the revisions here. If they come in lower tomorrow, then that could be bearish for the DXY and bullish for the euro toward levels like 1.0865. Now, personally, I kind of think that it's more likely to come in hotter than forecast just because that has been the trend over the past few months. Now, with that said, though, for me, it all comes down to the technicals. Like I mentioned, with the EURUSD breaking above 1.08 today, there is no short here while the market is above this area. Because if you're shorting the euro here, you're essentially shorting it right into the support level that it's breaking above. Okay, so if we were to see the euro failing to hold above this and closing back down here in this area, right, wiping out all of this and closing back down here, then I do think that would have me looking for shorts on a move, below here and back down here toward these lows around 1.06. Okay, that would be bearish and have me looking for shorts, but I can't justify shorting the euro while it's above 1.08. And alternatively, if you're looking for the best risk reward on a short here, this area up here is the one to watch. That is going to be key resistance for the euro. Again, that's going to line up with the bottom of that DXY channel. So if you're a swing trader here, in my opinion, this is the area to watch for the EURUSD. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP. Click on the link in the description of this video, or if you're on the website, click on the Join VIP link for 90% off lifetime access to the course and real-time discussions on the forex market, crypto, commodities, and stocks. Trade well out there, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.